You want to talk about some mistakes? Let's talk about some travel mistakes we made after moving abroad. Hello, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the mistakes we made after moving abroad. First, let's talk about accommodations. Okay, when we decided that we wanted to live this lifestyle, we knew we would be using Airbnbs. Why? Because it's a short-term rental and it's the closest that I would say, it's the closest that feels like home. However, in the beginning, the mistakes that we made were renting a place for 2 weeks at a time instead of a 1-month rental. That was a big mistake. Our rationale for doing this was that we didn't trust the country that we were about to visit. We had heard so many stories about how in Turkey the Airbnb host would put up beautiful pictures. I guess the pictures were doctored, I'm not sure. But they would put up beautiful pictures of an Airbnb and it was false advertising. Once you got there, the place didn't look like the actual picture. And the thought of that just terrified me. So we decided what we should do was we should do 2 weeks at a time. That way we could get our money back if we had gone to a place that we didn't like. Well, that was a big mistake because if an Airbnb host misrepresents their property, they will get in trouble. They have to have some type of accountability. Airbnb will help you find another accommodation, and in some cases, they will pay a percentage of your expenses, and they will also make sure that the host refunds your money. And I say that because it has happened to us. We've never had a problem with Airbnb. When we have a situation and the host is not being fair to us, Airbnb has always stepped in for us, and they've taken care of the situation, and it turned out to be a great outcome for us. Also, remember, if you do have a problem, you need to report it within 24 hours being at the accommodation. The next mistake that we've made within our moving abroad was fast travel. And as you know, fast travel can be very exciting, going from country to country. It can be amazing seeing different places, but it's also very draining and it can be very expensive. And that is mistake number 2. Instead of fast travel, we decided to do more slow travel. We became slow travelers because we wanted to experience the country, the culture, the people, and also slow travel gives you a sense of structure in your day-to-day life, which is what we needed and what we wanted. Slow travel also serves as a very good vetting technique. For instance, if you are undecided of where you'd like to live and find residency, to settle down, it's a good way of knowing where you would want to be. This brought us to our third mistake, which was lack of balancing our countries. Now, what do I mean by lack of balancing our countries? For instance, if you are traveling to a country that becomes that is very expensive and it's way over your budget, you're going to have to find a way to balance that situation. For instance, going to Egypt was not just a bucket list, but it was a dream come true. Man, we planned for that trip, and I thought I had it down to the penny as to what most things would cost. Once we got there, it became nothing more than a money pit. Everybody was in our pockets. There were so many scams that were ran on us. It was a nightmare in terms of finances. I will never regret seeing the pyramids. I will never regret going. But financially, it was a disaster for us. And unfortunately, we had to dip into funds that were not allocated for that particular trip. That was a big mistake in terms of finances. We had to make sure that our next destination would be below budget. It had to be a budget-friendly place, and that would be the way that we would recoup our financial blunder, so to speak. Another mistake that we made was living like tourists. Doing too many touristy things while living in a country, that can be a big mistake. And it could also be hard on your budget. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go sightseeing or touring, but the everyday things that tourists do, you can't do that when you're living in a country. For instance, eating out. You can't have 2 or 3 meals a day in a restaurant. You need to go to the grocery store, buy your groceries, take them home, make your meals, and live as if you were living in that country. The everyday things that people do as tourists, it's because they're allotted a certain amount of time in that country. You're also working X amount of hours a week in your home, maybe at a co-working spot or at a cafe, which is a good thing because it tends to take the monotony out of working. Remember, you want to live like the locals. When we started this journey of traveling, one of the things that was important to us was we wanted to purge ourselves of unnecessary things. We wanted to live more minimalistic. And one of the biggest temptations that I've had as a world traveler is wanting to pick up souvenirs or just certain items from different countries. You know, things that will remind you of where you are or where you've been. That can be a big mistake if not controlled. The problem is when it's time to leave and go to your next destination, all those little trinkets that you wanted to purchase, you're going to have to put them somewhere. You're going to have to pack them away. And that could be a problem because it may mean that you need to buy another set of luggage or another piece of luggage. In doing that, that's adding additional luggage to your expenses. Remember, paying airport prices aren't cheap. Sometimes they may charge you up to $100 if you're 5 pounds over, and that can wreak havoc on your budget. That's just not a good way of spending your money. That can be a very big mistake. After all, this lifestyle of being a nomad for us was to purge ourselves of having unnecessary stuff. It's more about experiences and less about excess. I hope these 5 travel mistakes and tips will help you along your journey as you decide whether or not you want to become a nomad until you find the right country for residency, or perhaps you just want to be a world traveler. Remember, mistakes cost money. I hope you find this video helpful. If so, please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.